Jai Baba to everyone and welcome. Today we'll talk about when and why, when and why.
Hello.
Sorry, there's some disturbance there.
No, we can hear you.
Okay. Uh, we'll talk about when and why Baba moved from Meherabad to Meherazad, and then we will also talk about various places at Meherazad. So let's begin with why and when. Let's go a little backward in the sense, historically speaking, Baba started his ministry at Ferguson Road in Pune. From there, he came to Bombay in 1930 or 31. For a year, he was at Dadar West at a place called Manzilabim. And that is where the first Mandlik kind of took shape. They were young boys like Baba, only in their 20s. And after a year, Baba went to various places. Nasik was one place where Baba's ashram was there for quite a long time. Baba went to Hyderabad, Baba went to Bangalore, Baba went to Dehradun for one long year. He went to Roha, he went to Toka, and all these places. But finally, Baba landed at Meherabad, and he made Meherabad his kind of a permanent abode, place to stay. Now, over a period of time, for roughly 15 years, Meherabad grew. And that is where Divim Mandli also stayed for the first time. And the place that we know, the post office building is where the women Mandli stayed. In the early days, there was nothing like Upper Meherabad. So the women Mandli also stayed at the post office building, and the men stayed at Lower Meherabad. Then the post office building, when it was dismantled, the women moved Upper Meherabad, and that is where they stay. Now, over a period of time, Baba's activities grew manifold, exponentially. The women Mandli grew, the men Mandli grew, the activities grew. To name a few, there was this Med ashram, there was this Mast ashram at Lower Meherabad, there was a clinic at Meherabad. People refer to as a hospital, but I will say it was a clinic. Then Padri Kaka, who was one of the young ones to come to Baba at Meherabad, he started his homeopathic clinic. And at Upper Meherabad, there was this uh, maternity home, I believe, where the Dastu stayed behind Samadhi. That is where the maternity home took shape. And also the school started there. They were at its site, there were 80 students, and almost all of them were boarders. Some of them who came from Arangaon village, they possibly were not boarders, but by and large, everyone were boarders. So if you have this school and boarders, you need teachers also, you need caretakers also for the boys. So overall, the activities grew manifold. And if the activities grow, the question of water comes in. And if there are too many people, if there are a lot of people, you need a lot of water as well. And then what happened was, it was Padri Kaka who would siphon the water, who would use the pump to pump the water up the hill, and he would fill in the tanks up the hill. And by the time it is afternoon, the tanks run dry, the taps run dry. So Padri Kaka and men would complain to Baba when he came down at Lower Meherabad that Baba, these women are wasting water up there. By the time it's afternoon, there is no water in the taps, and we don't have water to use, we don't have water to bathe, we don't have water to wash ourselves, utensils, everything, wash our clothes. Please tell women not to waste water. And they have a garden, so they are watering the garden, and we don't have the water. So when Baba went up the hill, when he talked to the ladies and he said, please don't waste water, please take care of water, please preserve water. Men are shouting down there that women are wasting water. And they say that you are wasting water on the garden. So the women said, Baba, you come here every day. You see us wasting water. Are we not sensitive? Are we wasting water? And are we using fresh water in the garden? We are using recycled water in the garden. We are not wasting water. We understand, Baba. So this kit between the men and the women monthly went on, and they each blaming the other for water scarcity. Then, as there were many women, the women would fight inter se, and when Baba went up, the women would complain against the other women that Baba, she did this and she did that, and etc. etc. When Baba came down, there would be quarrels between men and they would complain to Baba. Then Arangaon people, those who lived at Arangaon, the villagers, they would come to Baba and they would complain to Baba, and Baba became their kind of a magistrate. Baba would look to their problems and try and solve the problems. And Baba was like a karta for the whole joint family. This was a joint family, and there would naturally be friction between people around. So Baba would spend a lot of time solving these problems, and the number grew as the days went by. The numbers grew, and you must understand that Meherabad is on trunk road, Don Manmad Road. There is no. It was not a gated community. With the result, anyone and everyone just walked in. The Mandli grew. The Mandli's families would come. Baba lovers would come from Ahmednagar, from Pune, Bombay for Baba's darshan. People wanted Baba's, reporters wanted Baba's interview, so they would come. People who were lovers would come. People who were not lovers but who were inquisitive, they wanted to see what's going on in Meherabad, so they would come. The parents of the boys would come. They would come to spy on Baba as to what they are doing, where are our boys, what are they doing, what is the Mandli doing. And then some parents would come and say, call Meher Baba, we want to take the boys away. So this was a big mess. And the quarrels and the mess, the atmosphere was kind of hot in two sense. One is the temperament sense, the other the weather. The weather was very unbearable for everyone out there. It was very hot. You must understand that this place in those days was arid. There were no trees there. It was kind of a deserted look. When I reached Meherabad in 1969, that was 51 years ago, I saw no trees there. So you got to imagine 30s and 40s what it was like. It was a barren land, and it was very hot, very sultry, no rains, no waters. See, all in all, it became rather difficult for Baba to control all this. So one day Baba tells his mandli, his arrangement walas, I want to move from this place and I want to go to some other place. And Baba gave them some conditions that this is where I would like to go. And this is the place that you need to look for me. And the conditions were, one was that there should be enough water, because Meherabad had a lot of water problems. So Baba said there should be a lake around, there should be a water body around, so there is no dearth of water. Secondly, there should be a temperate climate, unlike Meherabad climate. There should be a temperate climate. There should be a hillock around. All the spiritual masters, they always live around the hillock. So Baba said there should be a hillock around. And then Baba said it should not be very far from the town, and it should not be very close from the town. And Baba said town, he meant Ahmednagar town. So these are the conditions that those who were going around the places, they had to kind of see that whatever they select, this place has to fulfill all these conditions. So they're going around around Ahmednagar looking for this place. And they zeroed on one or two places. They came to Meherabad. They told Baba that, Baba, we have seen this place. Will you come and have a look at this place? So Baba would go to that place, he would look at this place, and Baba said, no, no, it doesn't help me, it doesn't satisfy me. So another place, they took Baba to another place and said, Baba, how do you like this place? Baba said, no, where's the hill here? There is no hill here. Where's the water body? So for one reason or the other, Baba rejected these two places. And then there was an ad in vernacular newspaper in Marathi, and it said that there was a place outside of Nagar which was for auction. So they read this ad, and this arrangement wallahs, they go to this place which was outside of a village called Pimpalgaon, and they found that this place was good. It was a nice place. It was not on a main road, and whatever Baba had said, they were there. This was not a very huge land. It was not very small land. It's just ideal for Baba. So they go to Baba at Meherabad. They show the ad to Baba. Baba reads that ad. They said that, Baba, we have gone to this place, we have seen this place, and we think you will like this place. We think it's quite ideal. You come and have a look at it. So Baba comes to Pimpalgaon. Baba looks at this place, and Baba said in two words, three words rather, Baba said, bid for it. I repeat, Baba said, bid for it. It was not an outright sale. It was going to be auction. The place was going to be auctioned. So Baba said, bid for it. So on that auction day, this arrangement wallahs, they carried good bit of money with them. And of course, they won the bid. And this is how this place outside of Pimpalgaon came into their hand. Now, let us try and understand the history of this place. What was this place which was for sale, and why was it for sale? What happened to the place? Why was it auctioned? The story goes that Nagar, we used to call it Nagar. Ahmednagar was getting bigger and bigger in size. So if a place gets bigger and bigger in size, you need water. The water is the most basic fundamental thing. And if you need water, you need to create an artificial lake. You call it a dike, you call it a dam, whatever it is. So they were building a dam. The Nagar municipality was building a dam outside of the city, very close to Pimpalgaon. And if you build a dam, if you build a dike, you also need a pump house, a huge pump house to pump the water, pipelines to pump the water to the town. So what you need is some people, the chief hydraulic engineer, and you also need two assistant engineers, hydraulic engineers. So these were the people, these three people, they were staying at this place, which later on came to be known as Meherazad. And you see a huge cottage in the Meherazad property. As we come out from Baba's room, Baba's bedroom, the cottage being opposite Baba's bedroom, where Arnava spent the last days of her life, in the huge cottage, this is where the chief hydraulic engineer stayed. And the two deputy engineers, they stayed where the men monthly stayed. There are two old cottages. This is where those deputy engineers stayed. And once the pump house was built, once the dike was built, there was no need for them to hang on. So they move out, the place is vacant, and therefore it was for auction. So we come to 1941. This is when Baba and a few of the Mandli moved out. Now the question arises, when we say few of the Mandli, who did Baba select? I don't think it's in any of the book, but I'm using my common sense to tell you as to who Baba took with him to Meherazad. As I said earlier, all those who stayed in this community living, all did not have the same temperament. Some of them argued with Baba. Some of them back answered Baba. Some of them said, Baba, can I not do it tomorrow? Baba, is it necessary to do it? Do I have to do it? Why can't he do it? Why can't she do it? All this back answering, not having very pleasant nature. So Baba was more upset for people who did not obey him. Everybody did not say yes, Baba. At the drop of Baba's word, everybody did not say yes, Baba. But there were some who were very pleasant in nature, who were very pliable. Whatever happened, whatever Baba said, their only response was, Haji Baba. He always said, yes, Baba. They never displeased Baba. They were living for his comfort. They were living for his words. So Baba knew who were truly his. This is my reading. This is how I read it, that this is what Baba felt also. So few of women and few of men, Baba moved them outside of Meherabad. But they immediately did not go to Meherabad because the place was, let me call it, in a mess. It was not a place where people could stay. There was no place to stay. So initially, the women monthly stayed in Nagar at Akbar Press. This is where the Satta family stayed. And Satta family were very, very, very close to Baba. So they made a few rooms available for the women to stay. So the women stayed at this place, Akbar Press. And Baba stayed for some time here, there. Sometime he stayed at a place called Gyara Lodge or Gyara Cottage, which is outside of Pimbal. And a few men monthly stayed somewhere or the other. So till 1945, the cottage that we see today, which we call the Baba's cottage, was not in place. It was Arnavas and Rhoda Mistri's father. He was an architect. He was responsible for building the dome, the Samadhi dome that we see. Navroji Dadachandji was the architect. He was a small-time contractor. So he built the dome for the Samadhi, and he was the one who built the cottage for Baba, the cottage that we see. So the cottage was ready in 1945, and Baba, it was a big deal. The housewarming party that we talk about, that we hear, it was a big deal. People were invited from Meherabad, from Ahmednagar, from Pune, from Bombay. There was a big lunch, and after the lunch, it was beloved Baba who inaugurated this cottage. And as I've read, there was a silver lock and a silver key. So Baba opened the lock with the silver key, and Baba was the first to enter this cottage, followed by the women monthly. And then the other women went, and everybody saw this cottage. So this is the cottage where Baba started staying in 1945. I will first talk to you about where Baba's room was. If you approach the cottage, the cottage has ground floor and first floor. As you approach the cottage, the windows on the first floor that you see first, this is where Baba stayed till 1957 on the first floor. As we all know, in 1956, Baba met with an ex. The room where we have the Baba's room now, this is where earlier three women stayed. The three women stayed in the room that we see now as Baba's room, and Baba stayed on the first floor. And it is said that Meherama had designed this cottage, and she had designed this cottage taking Baba's comforts and Baba's privacy in mind. And Baba's room was kept, only Baba stayed on the first floor. Baba's room was kept on the first floor for the sake of privacy. And as we see the cottage, we see that the steps go up to the first floor. So what the women would do is, and why was it so designed by Meramai was that the men who did para, the night shift, the women would close their doors. The main structure was they would close the door and they would be inside. The veranda would of course be open. So the men who did night shift at night, it is said that earlier at Meherabad it was Sava Kotwal who did the night shift, but at Meherazad it is said that Baba's cousin Pendu was Baba's Masino Dikro, first cousin. So Pendu did the night shift earlier. Uh, Aloba did the night shift earlier, and then Bauji. So this man at night would go up the steps. The women are not disturbed. They would go up the steps. They would go to Baba's room, and they would sit with Baba, and whatever comfort that Baba wanted, they would look after him. So this is the reason why Baba's room was upstairs. This is the reason why the stairs were so made that the men who went up did not disturb the women, and men and women were, in that sense, isolated or separate. Now, what happened was in 1957 was, you remember in 1956 the accident took place at accident took place at and Baba as he was and both accidents Baba's both feet were injured, they were broken, etc. Baba was limping. So one day as Baba was coming down the steps, his one hand was on the banister. The other hand, incidentally, Baba was trying. It was winter time. Baba was trying to cover his head and his neck with a scarf, and he was busy. His one hand was busy with a scarf. With the result that he was going down, he lost his balance, and he missed a couple of steps. And the women were aghast. They saw that Baba was almost falling, and they were dumbstruck. But fortunately, Baba regained his stance, and he came down. And the ladies were in a shock. They said, "Baba, please, Baba, you're not going to stay up there. Baba, you will meet with another accident. We can't afford one more accident. You can't afford one more accident. Baba, you'll have to come down and stay down. We'll empty one of the rooms. Baba, please come and stay down." So once, twice, thrice, women pleaded with Baba, "Please come down, Baba, please come down." So finally, Baba agreed one day morning. Baba's routine was, he was an early riser. So his routine was he would get up early, he would come to the dining table. Before that, he would have a wash, kind of. I would come to the dining table, he would have his breakfast with the women. I'll come to dining table and the dining room a little later. So after he had his breakfast, was trying to go up, and no, sorry. After his breakfast, he would go out to the Mandli room where Baba would have his time with the men Mandli. So at around 9 or maybe 9, Baba goes to the Mandli room. At around 12, Baba would come back. He would go to the dining room. He would have his lunch. And after having his lunch, Baba is trying to go up the steps. As he tries to go up the steps, women say, "Baba nahi, Baba inga nahi, Baba inga nahi, Baba inga, my room." So women in this 3 hours time, they move Baba's furniture from the first floor to these narrow steps. They bring the whole of the furniture down into this room, and the room in which the 3 ladies were staying, they picked up whole of the furniture and put it on the first floor. So Baba's room comes on the ground floor. In 3 hours' time, these ladies moved all the furniture down and furniture up, and Baba had nothing to say. And this is when in 1957 Baba moved to the ground floor. Now, hardly a year passes, a year and 2 months, And in 58, we all know the uh, the new life started in December 58. Uh, yeah, sorry, 48, I beg your pardon, 48 to 52 was the new life. So Baba hardly stayed there for a year and two, and then he went for the new life. So in the intervening period, there was no one at uh, at the cottage, and the cottage was kind of shut till he came back in Feb 1952. So from 52 to 69, Baba again occupied the ground floor. Again, Meherazad was bustling, and this is where Baba stayed in the ground floor room. So now let's take the cottage in general. Then I will come to Baba's room. The porch that we see. First, the garden. The garden is called Mehra's garden. The porch that we enter was also called Mehra's porch. The reason why it was called Mehra's garden was it was Mehra who wanted some some greenery around Baba. So it was she who did a lot of work. It was she who put in a lot of efforts. There was water around, so she could bring out the best in herself, and she made a lot of sweat into it, a lot of elbow grease went to it, and she created a garden for Baba. And Baba would sit on the porch with Mera and the women monthly, so it was called Mera's porch. And then there was this sitting room where Baba and the women would sit in the sitting room. As you go inside on the right, behind the sitting room is the dining room. Baba had his meals in this dining room, not in the later couple of years. Baba did not go to the dining room. He would have his meals in his own bedroom. But in the dining room, very simple, nothing fancy about it. At the head of the table, Baba sat. On Baba's right, Mera. On Baba's left, money. And then the women monthly sat. It is said that Mera would serve Baba. Mera would bring food for Baba and put on Baba's table, and then the other women monthly. If there were guests, some guests were allowed to come, and Baba would say, "Come and join for breakfast. Come and join for lunch." So the guests would also have it. In the later years, Baba, after Baba dropped his body, the women monthly in the afternoon would call some guests, some ladies, and they would have their tea and snacks in the afternoon over there. So coming back to the dining room, so this is how it went in the dining room. Then opposite the dining room is where Mera and Mani stayed. Only two ladies, Mera and Mani. We know that. We go to that room where Mera and Mani stayed. Let me take you back to Meherabad. Mani must have been around 15 or 16 when she finished the school. She was in a boarding school. She wanted to leave the school and come and stay with Baba and with Manli. Baba said, "No, you have to finish your school. After you finish your school, I'll take you in the Manli. Till such time, you study." So as Mani finished the school, she comes to Meherabad, and she is with Baba till she dropped her body. Sorry, till Baba dropped his body. And the first thing that Baba told Mani was, "You will be with Mera. All the time you will look after Mera, you look after Mera's comfort, and you will be," Baba used this word, "you will be Mera's shadow. You will be Mera's shadow, you will look after." So when Baba was and the women monthly were at the water tower, the east room, behind the gadi is the east room. And that is where Mera, Mani, and according to me, Naja stayed. So all this while, as long as they were at Meherabad, Mera, Mani, and Naja occupied the east room. When they moved to Meherazad, only Mera and Mani stayed in that room. When you come out from that room, you see Goher's bed. You see Goher's bed. It was Goel's bed because Goel was, we all know Goel was Baba's physician, and therefore, if need be, Goel has to be closest to Baba. On the other hand, on the right of our bed was a Mera and Mani's room. So that is why Goel's bed was outside. Behind Goel's bed is a door. If you open that door, you come to Baba's room. Now let's go to Baba's room. Let's transfer ourselves in Baba's room. We enter Baba's room from the main side. But to enter Baba's room, there are two doors. One is from the front side as you enter, and from inside Baba's room, you see another room. If you open that another room, you go into the lodge or into the house, into the cabin. So, and why these two doors? Now there's a rationale to these two doors also. We have always learned that the men monthly and the women monthly were separate. They were always segregated. Meherabad, Meherazad, wherever, Nasik, wherever, they were always segregated. So the para or the night shift, when they came, how could they come to the women's side if there are women in the same cottage? So what would happen was, I've also learned that there were two shifts in the sense the night para would come at around 7 o'clock. Then from 7 to 1 would be one para, and from 1 or 2 o'clock, another guy would come and he would take over from 2 to 7. So this is how the night shift happened. And once coming back to how the men and women were segregated, when it was time for women to retire and leave Baba alone, they would ring a bell. The women would ring a bell and they would closet themselves in the cottage. With the result, Baba is alone in the room. And after a minute or so, Bhavji or before Bhavji, the others, they would come. Women are already inside. Nobody is on the porch also. So the night para would come and take his place. In the morning, when night para was about to leave, he would ring the bell, indicating to the women that now I'm leaving. And after a couple of minutes, when this night para or Bhavji, whoever, went on the men's side, the ladies would open the door, the inside door, and they would with Baba, they would take Baba to the wash basin and help them. So this is how this segregation between the men and the women was preserved at all times. So this is how it went. I want you to pay attention to something which is very important from our perspective, and which is Baba's feet. We all have seen that there's this cast of Baba's 2 feet, and I've been blessed to touch Baba's feet, and I've touched Baba's feet a number of times. And when I touched this feet of Baba's, the cast, whatever we call it, plaster of Paris, I get the same feeling. As if I'm touching Baba's feet. So whenever you're going in Baba's room, close your eyes and imagine you are touching Baba's feet. You must get the same impression that I get today, that you are touching Baba's feet. You get that impression in your mind. At home, when you pray, you should feel Baba's feet. Trust me, you will. You will feel Baba's feet. If you focus when you touch your feet in Baba's room. Now I take you to Baba's hand. Behind Baba's bed is Baba's hand. You must touch Baba's hand. You must put your hand on Baba's hand. You will feel that you are touching Baba's hand. You must get that feeling you're touching Baba's hand. The bed that you see in Baba's room is not the bed on which Baba dropped his body. Baba dropped his body on a surgical bed. Unfortunately, Now, when Baba was very ill, when Baba was very, very ill in December 69, 68, I beg your pardon, December 68, the women pleaded with Baba, Baba, please, Baba, we need to prop you up. Baba, you need surgical bed to sleep on. Baba, please let us have a surgical bed. Finally, Baba consented to it. Baba agreed to it. And a surgical bed was brought. And sadly enough, Baba slept on this surgical bed only for 5 days. Baba slept on this surgical bed on the 26th of December 1968, on 26th of Jan, I beg your pardon. On 31st Jan, Baba dropped his body. So only for 5 days, Baba used this surgical bed. The surgical bed will come to surgical bed later when we come to the blue bus. So the bed that we see today is the bed that Baba used for a number of years when he was at Meherazad. So this is Baba's bed that we talk about, and this is Baba's room. This is Baba's cottage that we talked about. Now let us let us go outside of Baba's cottage. Let's come to the Mandli Hall. Before that, there was nothing like Mandli Hall to begin with. This very structure that we see, there was no such structure when Baba came in. There was nothing there. There was nothing there. When Baba came in, there was this cottage where the hydraulic engineer stayed, and there were a couple of cottages outside. So when Baba came in, uh, Baba lived in one of those small cottages, small rooms. And when Baba gave interviews in one of those small rooms. So that is how it was. And when for some time Baba would sit with his mandli, where today you see veranda, there was no veranda. The veranda, in fact, came in 1972, 3 years after Baba dropped his body. So there was nothing like veranda. What you see as veranda today, this is where under the trees Baba would sit with his men mandli and talk about. So this is where Baba did the talking with his mandli. So then this structure was raised. I'm talking about the Mandi Hall. Earlier, there was nothing like Mandi Hall. It was a car shed. Elizabeth had given 2 cars to Baba. So in this structure, there was hardly any structure as such. In this structure, 2 cars of Elizabeth were parked. Then the Elizabeth car was disposed of. Then there was a horse called Shiba, Meramai's horse. So Shiba, then it became a stable. Meramai's horse, Shiba was kept there, so it became a stable. There was hay on the ground. There was hay. Shiva was there, and if you see the rear door, I will call it a gate rather than a door. If you see the rear gate, it will give you an idea that it was not meant to be a room or something. So there was this gate at the back. On the front side, we see today the door, the window. On the sides, we see the windows. There were no windows, there were no door, nothing. And at the wall that we see, there was no plaster. There was wall of mud and bricks. That is it. So one day, Baba comes to this, and then Shiva was gone. So Baba comes to this room, and where you see Baba's chair today, where we bow down, there was a crate. Yaraj calls it a soap box. There was a crate. So there was a crate. Baba just sit down on a crate. With Baba, there was no fuss. There was nothing like fuss with Baba. He just sat down wherever it was. So Baba sits on this crate, and there is this hay on the ground. So the man Mandli sits on the hay. And this went on for quite a while. And then one gentleman from Bombay, he brings a chair for Baba. So a chair was used, one rickety chair. His Baba sits on that chair. Gradually, the hay is floor is paved. So there is this, with cow dung, the floor is paved. Then gradually the walls are paved with plaster. Then the door comes up, then the windows come up, then the windows on the side comes up, then the shade comes up. So this is how it was a metamorphosis. And because Baba conducted his affairs in this place, it was called the office. It was called the Avatar's office. It was called Baba's office. So initially it was not called the Mandli, it was not called the Mandli Hall, it was called the office. And there's a good parallel that Erich Uncle makes is that 2000 years earlier, Baba in the earlier form as the avatar, as Jesus was born in a stable. And when Baba was at Meherazad, this place that we today call at the Mandli Hall, earlier called the avatar's office, was earlier also a stable. So this is the comparison that Erich Uncle makes with the stable then and the stable now. So then gradually this developed into the Mandli Hall, and once around 63 or 1964, it was Meramai's birthday, and if it is Meramai's birthday, it is a women's affair. So a lot of women from Bombay were called, and the program was in the Mandli Hall. And I happened to be there as one of the volunteers because all these ladies had to be taken from Bombay to Ahmednagar. So I was one of the volunteers. So after the program was over, after the ladies had gone on the other side, men were called to say hello to Baba. I happened to be one of those men who were outside, and I come into this Mandli Hall, and I see Baba sitting on the chair that we see today. So once in my lifetime, I visited Meherazad when Baba was there. I visited Mandli Hall when Baba was in the Mandli Hall. Now, let's take you outside. On the outside, we see the approach road. We see the approach road, and we see the hill at the back. The approach road is a private road, as we understand. There is a kind of a document in the Mandli Hall which says that this approach road, which is 1 kilometer long, this approach road is given to beloved Baba, to Mehraban Shri Rani, to Meher Baba in perpetuity. So I hope it remains in perpetuity for all Baba lovers to come in future. So that is this approach road. The seclusion hill at the back. We all know Baba did a lot of work in the seclusion hill, and 2 cabins were made up the hill. One cabin was for Baba, one cabin was for the Mandli who stayed up the hill, a little away from Baba. And when Baba's work was over, these cabins were dismantled, they were brought down, and near the blue bus, behind the blue bus, we see 2 cabins where Erich spent a lot of his period. He stayed there. So this is where these 2 cabins were reconstructed, made into a bigger cabin, and this is what we see over there. So this is the cabin. Let's come to some. What time do I have? How much time do I have?
Go on, Jimmy. I'll let you know a little later.
Okay, right. Thank you. Now let's go to the blue bus. We all know Baba went on the blue bus tour, I think around 39-40, and Baba used this blue bus. It was specially made, and it was built on a chassis for a big vehicle. It was so made that there were 16 seats. There was place for 16 seats, but All the time we are made to understand there were 23, 24 women who occupied this bus. And let me explain to you structurally this blue bus, then we will come to the blue bus now. Then uh, the door, there was a door for people to enter, the women to enter. There was only women in this bus, and there was a door at the back. I repeat, there was a door at the back. So everyone, including Baba, entered the blue bus from the back, from the rear. There was no door on the side that we see today. There was no such door then. So I'll come to that side door a little later. So they would all enter from the rear, they would take their seats, and Baba would sit right in front on the right side behind the driver's cabin. I'm using the word driver's cabin because it was a separate cabin as against the bus. The reason being that there were women in the bus, 23, 24 of them. You'll ask me, how did the women get in to begin with when there were seats only for 16? And the story goes that there were parcels and bundles kept in the aisle in the gangway, and some women who were a little younger, they would sit on those bundles, that jaunting jalopy. You got to just imagine in your mind's eye. It's difficult to sit on the bus, but to sit in the aisle on these parcels must have been really torrid. So this is where they sat. Baba sat in the front. Nobody sat next to Baba. Only Baba sat there. And there was a wooden partition between the bus and the driver's cabin. The bus was driven by Elizabeth Patterson because in the US she was used to driving ambulance, and therefore she was used to driving bigger vehicles. So she would drive next to Elizabeth. Eraj uncle would sit, and next to Eraj uncle, Dr. Donkin would sit. And they would take turns. Mostly Elizabeth drove, but even Eraj would drive and even Donkin would relieve the drivers. So these three drivers, they would sit in the front. And because there were men in front, there was this wooden compartment. Now, what if Baba wanted to give some instructions to the driver? So there was this small sliding partition window, whatever you call it. If you enter this bus today that sliding window or whatever you call it is still there. If you go there today or whenever, try and figure out this sliding window. It is still there. I've seen it. So Baba would open this sliding window, and he would he would nudge at Eraj, and he would tell Eraj to read the board, and Eraj would read the board, and then he would instruct Elizabeth what Baba wanted to tell. And so, as I said, Baba would open the sliding window and instruct Eraj through the signboard. Eraj would accordingly talk Elizabeth. With Baba, it was always fast. Whether it was car, whether it was bus, anything, Baba would goad the driver faster. The only time Baba told Eraj to go slow was at Uttara during the Uttara accident. That's the only time that I've read and I recollect Baba telling Eraj go slow or go. Cyrus last week told us that Baba told Eraj to go slow. There is time. Mera will be worried if we go earlier. So that's the only time Baba told Eraj to go slow. So coming back to Elizabeth, Baba would tell her to go faster, tell her to go faster. Now, I want you to imagine Indian roads in late 30s, 40s, narrow roads, unpaved roads. There are carts, bullock carts, there are tongas, there are men walking, jaywalking, there are people hogging half the road. There are trucks coming right in front of you. There are cattle, there are goats, and you name it, everything, cycles, so many cycles. And Baba's telling, go fast, go fast, go fast. One time, Eris writes that as he was driving a car, it was night time, and Baba kept saying, go faster, go faster, go faster. Eris writes that I felt as if I was going in a dark tunnel. He was driving his car through a dark tunnel. This is how Eris describes his frustration of driving car at night and in dark. Yeah, talking about the bus. When the bus stopped, Baba would get off first. Baba would get off first, and as the ladies got out, Baba would say, mind your head, take care, mind your head. In spite of that, women would bang their head, and Baba would say, I'm telling you, mind your head, mind your head. So this is how the bus was empty. And Hilla, Naju's sister Hilla Kotwal, Hilla writes that she was one of those. I wanted to know if anyone was alive today who had traveled by the blue bus. I knew Hilla had traveled, and Hilla is very much alive. She lives in UK. So 2 days back, I wrote to Hilla asking, Hilla, I'm sure you were there, but I want to just confirm that you were there and you have been in the blue bus. And she wrote back saying that yes, I was in the blue bus. My brother was there, my sister was there, and we were there in the blue bus. And she says that I was a very poor traveler, either by car or by bus, and I would get bus sickness and I would throw up in the bus. I hated bus journey. She writes, I hated bus journey. So this is how it was. She hated it. And she also tells us that once her mother Nagish, she was seated in the bus was empty, she was seated in the bus with small Adi in Nargish's lap, and Baba is outside. Baba is outside the bus, he's not facing the bus, he's facing the other side. And Nargish at that time, I don't know what got into her mind, and Nargish is wondering what will happen to little Adi. He was 2 years old, mind you, Adi was 2 years old. And what would happen to Adi if she died? If she died. And Baba turns around through the window. Baba is telling Nargish, what is this? What is this talk about death? Why are you worried? Why are you worried about death? You will live a ripe old age. You are not going to die so soon. So Nargish felt very embarrassed, and she wondered that Baba read her mind. Baba was looking at the other side. He was outside the bus. Baba read her mind. Baba reassured her, you're not going to die so soon. So that's another story about the blue bus. One, I don't know whether to call it funny or to call it, I'm aghast at this story. Once the bus is traveling, rickety bus, and Baba says, I'm very hungry. I want to eat something. I want to eat dal and rice. So at the back of the bus, there are these two ladies who are first trying to set up the chula, the fire, and maybe pump chula or whatever it is. So you got to imagine in a running bus with so many people that trying to pump the chula and start the chula, and then heat up the rice and heat up the water, and their fingers singed and their hairs and their hands were burnt, and how they managed to cook rice and dal for Baba, it just boggles my mind. So this is kind of a funny story. And then there are far too many stories about the blue bus and how people travel. Now let's go to the outside of the bus. There were bundles in the bus, we know that, but there was a carrier. Above the bus, there was a carrier. And who would do this job of putting all these bundles upon and the bedrolls, etc. on the carrier. It was Rano. Baba had deputed Rano Geli to go up on the bus, and people would hand over the parcels, and she would stack them up. And every day, every night, the bus would be emptied. The things would come out and come down from the carrier. It was hard calling for this Rana to do this. So this is the job that Rana did all the while. And if someone came late, Rana would get very upset because it was a tight thing. It was a very tight thing, and she had to readjust to get two more parcels or three more parcels up on the carrier. So this is how it looked during Baba's time. Now let's take this blue bus as of today, as of what it looks like today. Initially, when the blue bus time was over, when the trip was over, the seats were removed from the blue bus. Now, what do you do with the blue bus when the job is done? What do you do with it? So the idea was to have a lottery, and whoever wins this lottery gets the bus. So many people subscribed for this lottery, and it was Desai from Delhi. I forget his first name. I'll tell you. Uh, who got the lottery, and he won the lottery. And he comes back and tells Baba, Baba, what do I do with this bus? I don't want this bus. I stay at Delhi. I don't want to carry this bus to Delhi. And Baba said, the bus comes back. This is what Baba used. The bus comes back. So bus is at Meherazad. Now what do? You're not going to use this bus. So the bus is kept where it is today. But initially the bus was kept on the black barrels. First the engine goes, then the driver's cabin goes, so only the shell remains. Then the chassis goes, then the tires go. So what is eventually remaining is only the shell. So then the masonry work was done, and on this masonry work, the shell is there. So this is the shell that you see. The door that we see now, the door that we see now is the door that came up much later. There was no door, there was no side door. The door was only for the driver and those who sat on the other side of the driver. This door came up much later. And the rear door, well, the rear door remained as the rear door, but I think it is stuck to the cottage at the back. Now, during Baba did some silence work in this blue bus. He was closeted in this blue bus, and he would spend all 24 hours in this blue bus. Only when he wanted to relieve himself, he would open the door, go into the cabin to relieve himself, and come back and close the door. So this is how the blue bus was subsequently used. Bauji, who did the night duty, there would be a lot of talks around, lot of disturbances around, and Bauji wanted some quiet place to sleep during the daytime. So Baba told him to sleep in the bus. So Bauji would sleep in this blue bus, and it was hot, it was humid inside, there was no fan inside, and he would toss and turn in the bus, and finally he would just get out of the bus. It was getting too uncomfortable. So that was one more reason this blue bus was used. Now coming to the surgical bed, we see surgical bed in this blue bus. As I told you earlier, after Baba dropped his body, the surgical bed was brought back, and since then it has been lying here in this blue bus, and Baba's original bed is in Baba's bedroom. So this is basically about the blue bus that we know. I think that's that about the blue bus. We come to the caravan. We know Baba went in the new life. He went in the new life, and Initially, Baba traveled from Meherazad by trains. He went up to North India, and in 52, Baba left in 49 December, November, December. In 52, when Baba was at Sarnath, the walking tour started. The walking tour started, and everyone walked. Uh, and he wanted a kind of a contraption, I call it a contraption, so that the women can put their belongings inside, they can sleep inside. Now let me explain to you what the inside of it looked like. And this was made under Baba's instructions. Baba called Padri Kaka to come to Sarnath, and Baba explained to him. And it is written that this contraption, this caravan, was made with the help of Saros Motor Works. Saros Motor Works happened to be in Ahmednagar, owned by Saros. So with the help of Saros Motor Works, this contraption was made. I don't know where it was made, but it was made. And if you open the door from the back, there were 3 bunks, one on the left, one in the front, and one on the right. So these bed bunks were made. Mera slept on the left, Mani in the front, and Meru on the right. And after they slept in the front, in the gangway, Dr. Goel spread her bedding, and this is where she slept. And then they closed the door. At 3:30 in the morning, Baba would knock at the door, and that's the time that the alarm for the women to get up and get going. During this trip, Baba took 4 women monthly and 16 men monthly on this trip. So the four women that I mentioned, Mera, Mani, Dr. Goer, and Meru, they were the 4 who accompanied Baba. And let's come to this. In the evening at around 6, with Baba everything was fast and early. So they would get up early, they would dress up early, maybe have a cup of tea. Meru would make the tea in the morning. And by 4:30, the caravan would start. Baba and Yeraj would walk in the front. The women monthly would walk behind. The men monthly would walk behind them, a distance away. And then the animals, the donkeys and the monkeys and the camels, etc. So it looked more like a circus than anything else. So in the evening when they would stop, the caravan was never a motorized caravan. Please understand, if you study the caravan today, it was never meant to be a motorized caravan. There were tires. They were not the tires in the sense that we see today, those old bulb-type tires, rubber tires, and this was to be pulled by 2 bullocks. The 2 bulls would pull it, and Baba's cousin Pendu was the one who rode this caravan. In the evening, he would bring this caravan to where the women were, and the bullocks would be taken aback, and there's this caravan. Now, the moment the caravan came, the locals from surrounding villages would come, and they would be enamored by 2 things. One is the caravan. They would wonder, what is this contraption? Doesn't look like a vehicle. It doesn't look like a car. What is this? It had a handbrake. It had tires. It had a structure. But there is no driver's cabin. There is no steering wheel. There is no engine. So they would look around. The men were quite puzzled as to what is this structure like. And there would be a big people around, the locals around, the natives around. And they're wondering, who are these people? They had never seen a light skin in their life. These locals, they would be born in a village, they would live in a village, they would have their family in the village, and they would die in the village. In those days, they almost never went out. So they had never seen a lighter skin in their lives. So they're wondering, who are these people? Who are these? And they would see Baba, because Baba sat with the women in the evening just chatting with them. So they were attracted to Baba as to who is this person, who is this man? And the men and the women are now tired, they're haggard, they're dusty, they want to relieve themselves, they want to change, they want to wash up. And this men, they won't go, they just won't go. So now Baba has gone. So women are telling the men, please go where the men are, please let us be, leave us alone. Now, in new life, you can't get upset. New life, you can't get angry. So you have to be very pleasant, whatever comes, whatever may be, you have to be pleasant. So they would be tell men to go to the men's side, go to men's side. Then they would gradually tell the women, please go from here, please go, let us be comfortable, please let us be, we want to have tea, we want to have meals. So these ladies won't understand what the women are trying to say, that please give us privacy. But see, yeah, you have your tea, you have your meals, we don't mind, it's okay, please, you can freshen up, it's okay. They are trying to tell these the women, they are trying to tell these women that leave us alone. We want to freshen up. We want to please change, etc. They just won't understand. So finally they would go, and then the ladies would have their stay, and they say. So this is how they use the caravan. And in the morning by 4:30 they are on the road. So by and large, I've talked about the caravan as well, and I think this is it. I'll sum up over here. Thank you very much. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba Jimmy, thank you so much.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Thanks.
Baba. Very
Thank
There
you.
is just one small thing which I
Yes,
would
Baba.
like to add. Hello. You know the Baba's room and the staircase and the thing above, all these things have been restored just last year. They've been working very hard and they've been renovating and restoring it all. And up there is a treasure of rubbish. In our normal sense, it would be rubbish trunks full of things which were picked up from the musts, their cigarette butts, their dirty clothes, their kambal coat, and this and that, and all those things were stored in those trunks up there. So that was just one of the things which I wanted mentioned.
Sam, may I come in 1 minute, Sam?
Please do.
Uh, I'm not too sure if I told you this, that it was Meramai who designed this cottage. I don't think I told you this.
Uh-huh.
It was Meramai who designed this cottage, and Navroji Dadachandji, Rhoda and Anavas, his father, who built this cottage.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it was Navroji who built this cottage, the man who built the dome. And Meramai had this foresight for Baba's privacy, and she made it in such a way that the upper floor, the first floor that we are talking about,
Mhm.
the first floor was absolutely secluded for Baba alone, for Baba's privacy. And the staircase, as we see today, the staircase was also so designed that when the night para came, the ladies would close the door of the cottage. With the result, the night para had the freedom to go up the steps without disturbing the ladies. And he would go up the steps and up into Baba's room. And similarly, in the morning, he would come down without disturbing the ladies, and he would go down. He would go out on the men's side. So, so that segregation of men and women was preserved when Baba was on the first floor and when Baba was on the second, on the ground floor level. And I'm very happy you told about this first floor business. 2 years back, we were told that they are repairing the roof.
Mm.
Once the roof is ready, they'll go open the first floor. Then they said they are repairing the first floor, they are repairing the Baba's room and the plaster, etc. And 2 or 3 years have gone by and I have not stepped on the first floor as yet. I hope I see that first floor. Hope I see that first floor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Um,
Jai
Hey,
Baba.
Jimmy, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Very quick question. They have restored a lot of, quite a bit of stuff. One thing I've noticed, they haven't restored, Baba's car. It still sits in Hostel C or D. I was wondering why. If you know any Baba's car,
Car.
yeah, the one which sits in Hostel D or Hostel C. They didn't restore it.
I've not. I'll be honest. I'm very sorry. I've not seen. I've not seen Baba's car anywhere there. Nice that you reminded me. See, as we enter Meherazad,
No, this is at Meherabad. Jimmy,
This is
this
in
is at
Meherabad.
Meherabad.
It is
yeah, yeah,
in the C hostel, blue color Chevrolet car.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
I don't know. Yeah, the
okay,
car is in. Yeah, it is there. It's
okay.
not restored.
I got you. I got you. What I'm trying to say, you give me a pointer. What I'm trying to say is that as we enter Meraz on the left, there is a garage, car garage.
That's yeah.
And I'm told that one of the cars is in that garage. I don't think so because I've not seen it. I've never seen the garage open ever. But I'm told that one car is in that garage. I don't know.
There is one. Yeah,
Yes, but I
I've
don't
seen
know.
that car.
I don't know.
But there is
about-
also there's a car actually which is in Hostel C.
I have not seen it. I would love to
Yeah.
see it. I would love to see it.
Okay.
Hey, folks, Jimmy, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
From the chats that I've been reading, people are saying that Jimmy, thank you for this wonderful journey. It's like going there ourselves. And the last one says also, Mehdatra says, "Hey, you really took us on a kind of a trip." So the descriptions were so vivid and so nice. We are very happy that you could do this because you really transported us over there, almost there. So thank you so much, Jimmy.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Jai
Now,
Baba.
Jai Baba.
next Thursday, Jimmy, do you have anything for next Thursday also?
I'll talk about Meher Spiritual Center.
Okay,
I'll talk
But-
about Meher Spiritual Center.
okay.
The history of Meher Spiritual Center.
Jai Baba, it was very beautiful. Jai Baba, everybody. Jai
History of
Baba.
Meher Spiritual Center and Meher Spiritual Center as it is today.
Okay, we can do
Can I
that.
ask a question?
Can you please, others, can we please just not cross talk? Okay, another thing I would also like to mention is if next Thursday, Baba willing, there is time after Jimmy's talk, we can discuss about the importance of Baba's name. Okay, so I just end this session today with a thought. Okay, let us think for this entire week as to the importance of Baba's name. There is a beautiful, sorry, doha of Kabir, which says, पुराण को पार नहीं, वेदा को अंत नहीं, वाणी अपार है, कहाँ चित्त दीजिए. Kabir says there is no end to Vedas and Purans and all this literature. Where will you pay attention to? And then he answers it, लाखों की एक बात, करोड़ की कहूँ मैं, ये सभी के सार रूप, राम नाम लीजिए. Take God's name. So that is what it is all about, my dear friends. Let us end this session today with a hope that the time spent has enabled us, all of us, to get even an inch closer to Baba. If it has done that, this whole thing has served its purpose very well. Thank you, everybody, and Jai Meher Baba. Jai Baba.